Life is full of big moments of change and transformation where we have to pivot on our path.
Those moments come with a wide variety of emotions, from fear and anxiety to joy and relief.
I'm Kelly Koopmans.
And I'm Mary Nam, and this is Hard Turn.
Mary, welcome back.
So glad to be back. Hi,
oh
Kelly.
my gosh,
Hello,
another
everyone.
episode. One thing that I'm thinking is very interesting is that now there are cameras.
Yep.
And I spilled.
Totally see that stain. I was just wondering if you knew that there was a stain there on your shirt.
It's not a stain, it's tea.
Oh, okay.
But I spilled all over myself.
It's an unfortunate spot. Okay. All right.
Back to the
serious.
lactating days.
I'm not going to say it, but yes.
Yes. Okay, we have an awesome guest today, Alicia Erickson.
I can't wait.
She, has the most awesome muscles of all time.
She's fit.
Yes.
She's cut.
She
ripped.
is. Also, she's known as the Midlife Maven on Instagram. She has so many followers. She's from right here in Western Washington. And she is all about embracing midlife and showing how it can be the best period of life.
Yeah. And midlife is not in your 30s. It used to be. Not anymore. It's more like 40s and 50s.
Yeah. And I love how she had all these different factors of life that were...
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about being an empty nester or having this existential health crisis. How can I be the best me? Who am I?
I don't know how we're going to squeeze it all in, but we will.
We're going to try.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Oh my gosh, Alicia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm
excited.
Honestly, I was
Me too.
cruising Instagram before you got here.
Oh, you
and I
were?
saw you
Yes.
getting ready for this. And she was doing a full-on workout.
I
can tell she works out, Kelly. I can tell
It was a silly spin on just like getting ready to make sure that
Oh my gosh.
things are out and showing and shining.
Okay. Now, I know that people do this sometimes. Like, can doing push-ups before something, is that like a mental thing going for you? Or is it also physically something that
So
like
the
you're just
idea that
feeling
I
more-
was doing, it was like it gives you like a little bit of a muscle pump. So you pump your muscles up to make sure your muscles are pumped for, being on camera.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I love it. I feel like, Mary, drop and give me 10.
If I
right
look
now.
first of all, I'm not embarrassed. I would try, but I got to do the knees on the ground.
Yeah,
You know,
that's okay.
like I can't,
No, progression. That's all about just you start where you're at and
Yeah.
then you progress over time.
To how many pull-ups
Yeah.
now?
How many pull-ups? Like, are you talking overhand, underhand,
Oh,
chin-ups?
both.
Oh my goodness.
Overhand, I can probably bust out like 10.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
10
incredible.
in a row. Yeah.
That's amazing because you have always been athletic throughout your...
I've been pretty active my whole life.
Yeah, I've read
but
that
really
you-
like focusing on specifically lifting the last few years. I did CrossFit before that, but really like getting back in the weight room for the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you bring up the last few years and, you had done marathons, triathlons, you've done all these different types of things and you mentioned CrossFit. And then there was this turning point in life and you were kind of staring down a lot of things. You're staring at this like 50-year milestone, the concept of being an empty nester, evaluating your relationship with alcohol. There's a lot going on in this one moment that kind of triggers this change for you or hard turn, as we like to call it here.
Yep.
Is there a moment specifically that you can kind of focus on that you say like that right there, that's when things changed?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a couple. I'll be honest, it was a couple. And the first one, backing up a little bit with the alcohol. So I really had a love-hate relationship with alcohol for over 20 years. And the hard thing was that nobody ever said anything to me like, this is an issue for you, or you have a problem, you need to get this figured out. It was kind of like a bad habit, just like a bad habit to break. But it bothered me. And I had tried multiple times to just do like a sober October or a dry January, and I'm just going to cut it out, and see how that feels. And then it always just kind of made its way back into my life. And it bothered me. It bothered me. It really deep down did, but I didn't always necessarily vocalize that. And around age 45, something happened where it just clicked for me. I think I was coming into perimenopause, and my body was not recovering like it once did. My girls were teenagers. And I felt like it was holding me back from my potential. I felt like it was holding me back physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually from things that I wanted to accomplish in life. And then I had this next chapter coming, and it was not serving me anymore. It didn't align. You know, I've always been very active and into my fitness and health. It just was not aligning. And it was like a last 90 days of the year challenge. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut out alcohol. And that was October of 2018. And I quit for good. And it was done. Like I was so just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired that I was just done with it. I was over it. And I will tell you that I have never felt better in my entire life. Like it was very, very freeing for me in so many ways. And I didn't talk about it initially at first. And then over time, I started sharing more about it because I figured if I struggled with this, I'm sure other people and other women are struggling with this. Because I think growing up, we always thought if you question your relationship with alcohol, maybe you're an alcoholic. And I was like, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I think I just have a really bad habit with it. I have a bad relationship with it. It's not serving me anymore. And so I started to get more vocal about it. But so as I was doing that, it kind of came into a little bit more of a sugar addiction, which that happens a lot. When you quit alcohol, you can kind of transfer over into sugar.
Pick another vice.
Right, exactly. And I think it was just kind of a more stressful time in life, raising teenagers. And my youngest daughter, it was her senior year in high school. She was going through stress, and it was kind of my, I guess, way to deal with stress is to, go to sugar. That was kind of my thing, so it wasn't alcohol anymore. And so once she graduated, that was when I was looking at the empty nesting pivotal moment where I was like, okay, what's next for me? What's next in my life? What does this next chapter hold? My husband and I, we've been together forever, and we've been raising girls for the last 20 years. And this is going to be a whole new big change. And again, I've always really been about my health and fitness. And I just thought, what if I really go all in with that? And what I'm doing right now doesn't really feel like it's doing much for me. I feel like I'm putting in work, but I'm not really seeing the fruits of my labor. And that's when I decided to just completely change everything up with how I was moving, my nutrition, cutting out sugar. And I had been a portrait photographer for 13 years. I did like a lot of high school seniors, families, branding, studio work. And so I thought maybe I'll just, keep going with that. But then as I was going through my own midlife transformation, I was like, I want to talk with other women at this stage in life, and I want to help them go through the same transformation. So I started that process at that time I didn't know what it was going to look like yet, but I wanted to help other women see their own value and potential going into this phase, because I think it's just natural that we think, oh, well, we raised the kids, we did this, now what?
Yeah.
Are we like expired now? Like, is the best part over? No. It's just beginning. Like, you're actually going into your prime in midlife. I 100% believe that. It's a midlife awakening. It's not a midlife crisis. Yeah.
And kind of untangle those for us. A lot of people say midlife crisis. They're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How do I do it?
Yeah.
And you describe it more as a midlife glow up.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Glow up?
It's a glow up.
I like
it's a
that.
total glow up. Well, it's, you've been in the trenches, raising families, building your careers, building businesses, paying the mortgage, and you're entrenched in that. And that really is all consuming, and then all of a sudden you have this space open up and the margins open up in your life a little bit. And it's like, okay, actually, who am I? Who am I anymore? Who is Alicia? What does Alicia want to do? How does Alicia want to spend her time? How does she want to invest in herself and really pour into herself and become the best possible version of herself so I can spread that around and share that with the world? That to me is a midlife glow up. So, yeah.
I just can't get over how many things hit you all at once in a span of a few years. I mean, and nothing is seamless. It's not like you went, got past one thing and then rolled into the next. It was all at once. Can I ask what your husband thought, what your daughters thought? Because was this all internal?
No,
Were
I mean,
you keeping it all
stuff
inside, or?
I would share with them and I'd talk with him. And I think especially as we were coming into empty nesting, and I just expressed to my husband, I said, I'm not going to nag you. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. I'm not going to tell you what to do or say anything, but I'm just letting you know this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm on this trajectory. I want to lock in fully for me and work on me. And this is the route I'm going. And I would just appreciate your support. Love you. You don't have to do it, but this is what I just communicated that clearly. He's like, okay, that's fine. And as he watched me, he was like, oh, okay. And, like a year later, he started getting on board too. And he's always, been into health and fitness too, but he, started his real estate career a little bit later in life. He had worked with the family business and then started real estate and really gave everything to that. So again, he was in the trenches with that and kind of let his health go by the wayside. And I think it lit a fire under him. And I didn't have to nag. I didn't have to say anything. I just led by example and I did my thing. And he watched and he was like, okay. And he got after it himself.
That's really cool.
So it's been pretty awesome.
Well, I asked that because, the show is called Hard Turn. We talk about people's hard turns, but we forget that, no man is an island. It's not like you go through this yourself and everything's fine. It's like, someone that you love is changing.
Yeah.
A glow up in this case. Yeah. And it's like, how did everyone else react to that? How does that change the existing dynamic?
And that's a question that I get a lot from women is, how do you deal with that when your partner isn't necessarily on board? Because, even with quitting alcohol, it's like we used to sit on the couch and I'd sip my wine and he'd sip his cocktail at night while we watched our favorite show. And it's like, well, what are we going to do now? I'm like, I'm just going to be drinking sparkling water. You can still have your cocktail, but I'm just going to be having sparkling water. But people get fearful of, that judgment or why are you doing that? And sometimes it takes a little bit of an adjustment and then people will come around. Because I truly believe that working on yourself and working on yourself to become your best possible self, it's not just about you. That's going to eke out to everybody in your life. It's going to eke out to your family, to your, to your spouse, to your partner, to your community. Everybody's going to reap the benefits of that when you are becoming your best self, because you're going to have more confidence and you're just going to shine. And people are going to be like, what does that person have? I need that. I want that, so everybody benefits.
I love how you brought up that kind of existential question of, who is Alicia? What do I like? What do I want to do? And I think that a lot of life can throw different curveballs and bring people to that moment. For me, it was losing my husband. Who is Kelly without him? What does life look like? For you, midlife. For Mary, maybe surviving through cancer.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who answer that question? Who am I and what steps can they actually take to help find who they are, what matters to them? Yeah. What steps did you take that helped you get there?
Well, I think you have to try things. You have to try different things and experiment with different things that you might like, because you've been so engrossed in doing whatever it is that you've been doing with, raising a family up until now. You haven't really gone out and tried to do new things or experimented with new things. And I don't know, read new books, just try new experiences. I knew personally that this was a passion already, but I hadn't really been able to I just didn't feel like I had this space in my life to just go all in with it until, a certain moment arrived. So I don't know, I think it's a matter of being okay with being still with yourself and kind of just allowing your life to be quiet for a second while you figure things out. I think we're a lot of times we're uncomfortable with that, with just being like quiet. Like, what do I really want?
Oh yeah, I don't do quiet well.
Yeah. Same,
the chaotic soundtrack of life right now with the three little ones. So quiet would be bad. Yeah. Something's going on. It's too quiet.
Exactly. Someone is cutting someone's hair in a corner.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this idea of perimenopause, something that I think a lot of people don't talk about. I know that I consider myself someone who is generally educated on a lot of topics, and yet when we start talking about menopause, perimenopause, I feel like I never really learned much of that.
Yeah.
What is the conversation about perimenopause and menopause that you would like to change, and how are you changing that conversation?
Oh gosh, I'm no expert on it, but I just like to talk about it openly because it's not anything to be ashamed of or, feel embarrassed about. Like, every woman's going to go through it if we're lucky enough, to live long enough to go through it. We're all going to experience it. And everybody has their own experience with it. Some are wanting to do the HRT, some not open to that. People have different symptoms. The only thing I will say is that we do have a bit of a lapse with healthcare and attention to this issue. It's hard to find the right clinician that's going to give you the care that you need. A lot of women are getting kind of, oh, that's normal, just figure it out and write it out.
For years.
Right.
Writing it out symptoms for years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, that would be the part that people need to be aware of, that it's really important and priority to find somebody that you trust, a provider that you trust and that is knowledgeable and that is going to be able to work with you through this time in your life, because it can be 10 to 15 years. It's a long time. It's a long time. And like I was just saying, think about perimenopause and menopause. You think about adolescence, it's when all of your hormones are coming online. So this is when all your hormones are going offline. And it's a process. It's a long process, and the symptoms are all over the place. So I just think that, it's very important to be aware of what's going on and to find that provider that's going to be your advocate and is not going to, just brush you off. And just deal with it. Just figure it out. Just write it out. Like that's not an answer.
Alicia, you are well-read. You are physically fit. Mm-hmm. And for you personally going through the menopause experience, was it hard to get the care? Did you have to do a lot of, research, a lot of medical hand-holding, if you will, by the right person?
Actually, no. I feel like I feel fortunate with that. Mm-hmm. And I see a functional medicine doctor. So I felt like she was an advocate kind of from the get-go. So I feel pretty, I don't know, I'm thankful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I do think that lifestyle obviously has a lot to do with how we can get through these times in life. There's lifestyle and then, any other things that can help and supplement. But lifestyle is huge.
Do you think cutting out the alcohol, all of that, played into in a positive way?
Absolutely. Cutting out alcohol, start to put on some muscle. And that's huge, because that's just something inevitably, if we don't use it, we're going to lose it as we get older. So your body just runs differently when you've got more muscle mass. So
one thing I've always found interested in talking about is, as we get older, the muscle mass is especially important because our bone density, it helps with our bone density.
Exactly.
It's making our bones stronger to help, prevent fractures down the line. Can you tell people a little bit about the importance about that if they want to start thinking about, how can I incorporate weights?
Yes.
To improve my physical well-being down the line.
Right. And so I think that's something, especially in like my generation, Generation X, we've been all about the cardio and eating like birds, and it's actually not serving you. I know it might be intimidating for a lot of women to think about resistance training, but I would recommend starting with, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. You can even start with body weight, bands, and then add in dumbbells, hire a trainer. If you need help with your form, make sure your form is correct and you're moving well. But the fact is, we have sarcopenia, we have osteopenia. This is muscle-related age-related muscle loss, bone loss. These, the statistics when you get older into your 60s, 70s, when you fall, and I can't remember what the statistic is about not surviving so many more years. It's like, this is why it's so important. You want to have quality of life. And this is going to be preventative and help you to have those quality years. Yes, it's important to do cardiovascular exercise, but resistance training is key for women in our age group. And you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel so much. And a lot of times what happens too that women don't understand is that you have to start actually eating appropriately to build muscle. You get to eat more. So you're not eating like a bird anymore. You get to eat good food. You feel your body. You build the muscle. You feel amazing. You get sculpty. What's not to love about that? It's pretty awesome.
Well, speaking of sculpty, for the people who are watching the video version of this, I admire your tone muscles. Yeah. But quite frankly, it could be intimidating. Some people might think, well, I can't afford a trainer. I don't have, and so walk us through, I'm just curious, what is the ratio of lifting to cardio to what,
I would say if you can hit 3 full body resistance training days a week, that's great. And you can do it at home. Yeah. You can do it with bands. You can do it with dumbbells at home. You don't have to go to the gym. I suggest going to the gym just because there's more variety. Yeah. But you can get these things done at home, and you have to work really hard to get this way. It's not going to,
So
women
don't be discouraged if it
women
doesn't
are
happen.
afraid of getting bulky, and trust me, you're not going to get bulky. You have to work so incredibly hard to look bulky. And then I'm lean, and that just, that's nutrition and lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say if you can get in 2 to 3 days, full body resistance training, amazing. And I personally, my cardio of choice, I love walking and I love hiking. We live here with all the hikes in our backyard.
So glad you said walking.
Yeah, walking and hiking is my favorite. But
I can
just
check
say
one box off in my life.
I'd say do the cardio that you enjoy. If you love pickleball, go do pickleball. If you love tennis, go play tennis. Do the thing that you love. But resistance training needs to be a priority. It has to be a priority. And give it a chance, and you'll fall in love with it. Just got to give it a minute. Give it like a year. That's what I suggest for women, to give it a year, and pretty soon you'll fall in love with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to an earlier part of our conversation where you said, when you were approaching midlife and approaching the empty nester and all this stuff, that you were thinking, wait, society is telling me that I'm useless at this point. What advice would you have for other women who are looking at that coming up and they're terrified?
Yeah. I would say that literally what I said before, these are your prime years. And that's very normal. I think that somehow that is the narrative that's pushed on us. I don't know why or how, but that's what we've been led to believe. Maybe once we're done, child rearing, like what's our use? But those are actually your prime years. But you have to live with intentionality. Like, you have to live with purpose, and you have to live on purpose with your habits and your goals and how you live your life. But these will absolutely be your prime years if you put in the effort on yourself and you work on yourself. It's been amazing. It's been my favorite so far. I think my 40s were my first favorite, and my 50s are my second. And they're even now more than my 40s. I feel like getting older, you just get wiser, more confident. And then you add on top of that, doing things that you love and pouring into yourself, it just grows, becomes more exponential.
Well, I know people can check it all out on Instagram. You have a massive following there, and you have some great
crazy.
tips too. Yeah.
That's been nuts. Yeah. That happened just, I don't even know.
It's the glow up.
I guess.
That's what it is.
Reaching through people's lives via the phone.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. It's a good time.
Well, you're changing lives, so keep it on going.
I will. I'm not stopping. You can't stop me.
I'm going to give it a year, like you said.
Yeah, do it.
I'm going to give it a year.
Yeah. I'm going to check
back.
back with you.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Oh, no. Yeah, next time I'll be wearing a tank top.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
Alicia.
me.
Alicia was incredible. I will say, when she walked in and I saw her arms, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. I wish I could look like her, and there's no way.
What I love about her is it's not just this physical manifestation of all this work she's done, which, yes, is very impressive. And again, check out her Instagram, because
Midlife Maven.
She is doling out all these tips of how people can, do these exercises. She leads groups of women and helps them through. She's just started this 30-day challenge, for example. So she has a lot of different things that she helps steer people through her Instagram page, which is really cool.
I just love that she gave me something to look forward to, because I'm a little bit younger than she is. And it was I'm experiencing a lot of those things that she's talking about now, like perimenopause. I think I am technically in menopause because of my hormone suppression treatment for post-breast cancer.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about the conversation we had
So,
with Alicia right before we started rolling?
Really quickly, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 40, they do the test, the biopsies. I was hormone positive breast cancer. So that means my cancer cells, they feed on estrogen. Estrogen is a liability for me. So when they removed the cancer, had the mastectomy, cut it all out, the treatment for, to prevent recurrence was to get rid of all estrogen in my body. So I'm on medication, kicked me into menopause at the age of 40. And I've been this way for 6 years now. So all of the hot flashes and stuff, I've experienced it all. So when she's talking about losing sleep and your body's going crazy and you're sweating all the time, it was I felt her pain.
Now, do you agree with me that it's not something I know much about, or that
It's confusing.
society really teaches us about?
No, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, we know that it's coming. We know it's looming, right? And once you hit your 40s, the perimenopause symptoms, and there's so many videos on social media about like those so-called funny symptoms, your hormones, your emotions, sweating all the time, this and that. But no, it is confusing. I totally agree with you. It's totally confusing.
I also love how she pointed out, because it's something that exists in the medical field where, you're having these symptoms and maybe it's related to something else. People just brush it off and just say, oh,
Yeah.
that's just part of this.
Right.
But what if there is a link to something else?
And what if there is a treatment available, something that can be done for it, as opposed to dealing with it for years, because it
Right.
lasts years.
Yeah. We didn't get into much of her empty nester thing, but is that something that you think about? I know it played into part of her decision of like, I want to be a good role model for my kids while they're in the home. So when they're out of the home, I know we got a long way to go to the empty nester thing. We got to survive the toddler and teenage years.
Or like, 12, soon to be 12?
Yeah.
12 when this airs, that kind of thing. And I'm not going to lie, there are moments where I'm like, yes, the countdown has begun.
We're going to check back in about 6 years.
Yeah. But I love that people like Alicia are talking about it, because it makes me think about it. Like it's not really on the back burner. It's more like, because we're living longer, right? If we're lucky, we lived into our 80s, 90s sometimes, and there's a whole life left after the kids are out of the house. And it's like, what are you going to do with that? So I love the fact that we talk about it, because it's always kind of in the back of my mind. And it's not as, for me, it's something I'm excited about. It's like, ooh, what am I going to do? Not just because you get the time back, but it's more like, what are you going to be like?
Right. And I think that was such an interesting question of trying to identify who you are, what do you like, what do you want to do with this now? Yeah, more time. Do you want to find this fitness goal or this hobby? But I think what is so hard, and that I've discussed before, is trying to find what is it that makes me happy. And I guess what I was hearing Alicia say is that involves some trial and error. It involves putting yourself out there and trying things and being willing to also be like, okay, maybe this isn't it, but at least I tried it. I can check that off the list and then move on to something else and see maybe that's what's going to make you happy.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing. I think that's half the battle, is it makes you feel weird that you don't know.
Yeah.
It makes you feel less than. Like, how do I not know? Well, why would you know? How you've never done it before, right?
Right.
It's like going to a new restaurant. You've never tried anything on the menu and someone says, pick your favorite. How would you know?
Oh, no, that's why I always defer. I always defer to the server. And I
always say, give me your
can
top
you
five.
just tell me, like, what are the best things? So I'll have those, please. And thank you. Because I don't want to make decisions.
Yeah.
Decision fatigue.
That's real.
I mean, this is just a random anecdote just in life right now. But yeah, I'm facing like decision fatigue right now of making all the decisions.
You're in that prime spot, right? With three littles.
Yeah. Oh my
as
gosh.
they say.
3 littles. Wait, I forgot how little they are. Oh my gosh. Well, I just think Alicia is so great, and I'm so thankful that she joined us. And remember, Mary, we're checking back in 1 year, buddy.
Yeah,
You're going to be
I did
wearing
say,
the tank top in season 3.
I can do that. I can do 2 to 3 days a week of low intense. What you call it? The resistance.
You like resistance,
bands, or like
yeah.
soup cans.
Soup cans. I'm unfamiliar with soup cans.
I'm just saying it doesn't have to be heavy.
No, you're just saying that's your personal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, find things around the house. I support that.
You think I'm joking?
No, I didn't.
I'm not joking.
I thought you were talking about some sort of new equipment I was unaware of. And I was like, that sounds great. I love that for you, Mary.
I'm going to show you what a year's worth of soup cans training could do.
All right. Well, there we go.
What a great conversation.
Great conversation. And hey, to everyone out there who's now watching on our new fancy cameras, we thank you. We're still getting used to them.